Special guest Zane.
How you doing?
All right, so there's some more spoilers out. We're going to go over them, and there's a lot of exciting ones. One we're going to start with is actually not Macabre Waltz, but our Flip Planeswalker, Arlen Cord, 2 red-green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker with 5 abilities. So that's the most. Brad, you want to tell us about that first ability?
Yeah. Okay, so it starts with 3 loyalty for 4 mana and +1. Until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance and haste.
So that is ability that protects itself if you have another body. It's not the best ability for defense, but it is a good ability for racing. The second ability, 0, put a 2/2 green wolf onto the battlefield and transform it. And we've got Arlen Embraced by the Moon, and she's also got 3 abilities here.
So once you do the 0 ability, you immediately transform. But since it's the same Planeswalker, it didn't leave the battlefield, you can't immediately activate it again, correct?
Right.
Even though it has a different name.
Right. Do you want to tell us about the next 2 abilities there, Zane?
What is it? +1 creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. So it's kind of a souped up version of the first side's ability. It's less of a pump, but it's to all your creatures.
Yeah. So if it's
and they gain trample instead of vigilance and haste.
You get an overrun effect.
Seems pretty legit. -1, Arlen Embrace the Moon deals 3 damage to target creature or player and transform it back to the other side. That seems pretty cool. I mean, you can kill something or dome them, but it will flip it back to the other side.
Yeah, let's talk about these first 4 abilities. We'll get to the ultimate in a minute, but ultimates are less important. So you've got 2+1 abilities that want you to have creatures, which is normal for Gruul type Planeswalkers. Flavorfully, that fits in. You're probably playing this at the top of some sort of beatdown curve. You might have some 4 drops, you might have a 5 drop, but you mostly have 1, 2, and 3 drops to take advantage of that. And the flipping, right? So if you just 0 a -1, you get 2/2 Lightning Bolt on alternating turns for 3 turns.
That's pretty good.
How does just that sound?
That's pretty good.
For 4 mana, seems pretty amazing.
Right, because the 0 does protect itself, and the -1 protects itself further. Obviously, you can plus on either side. If you just have the 1 wolf, you're probably wanting to flip back over. But so I like how it has a lot of powerful abilities, and you have access to all of them. But it's not overwhelming. You can't double Lightning Bolt. You can't repeatedly make wolves. So you have to be really smart about how you're using this Planeswalker. The design's really cool to me.
Yeah.
So the -6, Brad, tell us about the ult.
So you get an emblem with creatures you control have haste, and they can tap to deal their damage, deal their power and damage to target creature or player. So they no longer need to attack.
So this is a little weird for me. I understand not being able to attack in the board stall, but I think as far as constructed goes, most of the time if you're +1ing a bunch, how are you not already just beating them to death? I'm not saying it's a bad ult. I'm saying it's redundant.
Well, so most ults, you should just win the game if you cast them, but getting to those ults, you've probably already won. So that's pretty normal for a Planeswalker, in my opinion.
Well, maybe okay, if we look at Jace, different versions of Jace, a lot of the Jaces have to do with manipulation. None of them really win you the game, and then his ult often will be something that's game-winning or close. I see a lot of games won by... Not a lot. I see some amount of games won by Jace. I don't expect to see a lot of games won by Arlen just because what positions are you in where you're not either falling behind or getting enough ahead other than weird board stalls? But how often do you see board stalls?
Yeah, it seems like you would be better off if you just kept plussing, minusing, and zeroing with this one. But, I guess you probably just win if you -6. You're not going to do it unless you can.
So obviously this is standard playable. What do you think about this card as being an option to put with or instead of Huntmaster of the Fells? Because the 0 and the -1, over time, I think it becomes more powerful than Huntmaster, but I think it has less impact on the board immediately.
So it's not a, 4/4 when it flips, like Huntmaster is. And I guess the doing 2 damage and gaining, 2 life? I guess that doesn't matter too much with Huntmaster.
Well, Huntmaster can be used offensively and defensively. It's better because it puts a lot more things on the board when you first play it. But as the game goes, it is unrealistic to imagine it flipping more than maybe once or twice, just because it's hard to get to that situation. Yeah. Whereas with this card, you are on demand getting 2/2s and bolts as you need to.
Yeah, so Huntmaster...
I was going to say also, there's not it's not as fragile as the creature. That there's a million creature removal spells. There's not a lot of stuff that just directly kills the Planeswalker. There are cards, but not a lot of them.
Not too many.
It's outside of the range of abrupt decay. It is, however, lightning boltable.
If you want
It's
to.
a bit of a problem.
And
I mean,
you know what's cool about
it
is you control the flip with this one.
Yeah.
With Huntmaster, you might be able to control the flip, but your opponent can flip it back, right?
Yeah.
So this one you can play, get a 2/2, flip it immediately, which is what you get when you flip the Hunt. No, it's when you play the Huntmaster, you get the 2/2.
Get a 2/2 and you gain 2 when you play the Huntmaster.
And so the next turn, if it doesn't die to a bolt, which I guess that's only one card as opposed to a ton of creature removal that could kill, you get to lightning bolt as opposed to doing 2 damage with your Huntmaster.
So, I mean, in
And
modern,
then attacking for 4. So.
this is on the top of a curve. Very easily, you could have had played a 2-drop or 3-drop. One might have died, one might not have. If you're playing red deck, you can play this, pump, hit for extra damage, have a guy black to block, and be out of bolt range. So
Right.
it's not unrealistic for this to survive through bolts. You know, it having less impact on the board quicker is a big deal for 4-drop in modern.
Yeah.
I will say, like, people are talking about this in the Jund shells right now because that's where it makes most sense.
Yeah.
But we might be getting enough power in just red-green that maybe something like Teamer will appear in modern because now it has enough 4-drops that matter. Because, you know, Jund already had that before between several different cards, Kalidas, and, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's always their top of the curve, so they have basically the best 4-drops ever printed to play,
Yeah.
including the Vampire, right?
Right. I don't think we need to talk about this in other formats. Great in Limited, not playable in Legacy. All right, so let's go over to Audric, Lunarch Marshal. He's 3 and a white for a 3/3 human soldier at the beginning of each combat. So yours and your opponent's. It gets all. If one of your creatures controls an ability, everyone gets that ability for first strike, double strike, etc. Prowess is left off of this list. That could have been for a variety of reasons, but almost everything else is. Skulk is interesting on here. Remember, that's the ability where creatures with power greater than your creature's power can't block it, so Skulk is going to be evergreen.
That's awesome.
I don't think that this is a card for anything other than standard, but
Just because it costs too much mana.
And amazing legacy.
we,
Oh, not legacy.
Limited.
Limited. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing limited.
the problem I have with it in Modern as well is even if it was cheaper, you would need creatures with those abilities, and in Modern, some creatures have flying, some creatures have haste or hexproof, but that's really it. You don't really see creatures with these other abilities frequently.
Well, so Menace is becoming more... Well, since they made it evergreen, it's becoming very much more prevalent. And Menace is the hardest to deal with in combat, in my opinion. Like, First Strike is annoying, but you can always not block. Menace, when you need to block, is almost impossible to block, especially on every creature.
What creatures are played in Modern that have Menace?
Not very many right now.
Okay.
But the number will only keep increasing as they keep printing it evergreen.
You are right. Let's look at the difference in power in these two 4-drops. We talked about, probably Arlencord will see some Modern play, but I think Audric is just so much worse than her. I think this is where we see the division of what we expect from 4-drops in Modern. Like, we have these two 4-drops, and Audric will probably see standard play. He's not a terrible card.
He's not a mythic either. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there are other 4-drops that aren't mythic that get played, but, Alright, so let's go to the next card, which is beautiful. I love the art on this card. You want to tell us about To the Slaughter?
Anybody?
Target player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Delirium, if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. Instead, that player sacrifices a creature and a planeswalker for 2 and a black instant. I like Edict effects. They're not always super powerful because they get to choose. If you ever Delirium, it seems awfully good because it's unlikely they're going to have more than one Planeswalker on the board, but that's only if they have a Planeswalker to begin with.
No, they have to sacrifice one of each if they have Delirium.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you hit them with it when they have a Planeswalker and a couple of crappy creatures, they're obviously going to sack the creature. If you have Delirium, they're going to have to sack their Planeswalker if they have one.
Yeah.
But and the creature,
Yeah.
which that's good. It seems. Obviously it's going to be good limited, but I think it might see some play in standard depending on how standard shapes up, but we'll see.
Interestingly, I actually think this card is worse in Limited than anywhere else because sacrificing the Delirium is harder to get in Limited. The Planeswalker sacrifice clause is worse because there's less Planeswalkers in Limited, and sacrificing in Limited is pretty bad because a lot of creatures have keyword crappy, which means they're just bad cards. So you have a lot of bodies.
It would not. You would not be happy to see that as your rare.
Yeah.
You'll probably get it past a 3rd or 4th pick, and you'll take it then if you're in black. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
great. It's still a removal spell.
So right now, Modern doesn't
An
see...
instant removal spell.
Yeah. Modern doesn't see a lot of Planeswalkers. If Modern has a Planeswalker uptick, it is a bad creature removal spell, but some decks it's still fine, especially all-in-ones. It's bad against the lower curve creatures, which there are a lot of creatures that are cheaper than 3. But if there were a lot of Planeswalkers hanging around, there's a lot of decks that won't play anything but Planeswalkers, right?
Yeah.
So I think Delirium's not going to be that used except in Standard. I don't think there's going to be a Delirium Modern deck.
Delirium's...
I think that it's kind of...
Delirium's so powerful.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's already Tarmogoyf decks. They're already trying to do the same thing. I mean, they're not actively trying for it, but it does it. I mean, they're already playing multiple different things. And granted, this says your graveyard, not all graveyards, but still.
And the problem with Delirium in Modern,
I just think that Edict Effect aren't very good in Modern.
Now the problem with the Delirium in Modern is the cards that I've seen so far are so bad if you don't have Delirium, and so good if you have them, that you don't want that randomness in your Modern deck. You just play a card that's medium.
I think you would just play a cheaper, better kill that creature spell, or you'd play something like Hero's Downfall or something like that. They could kill either one. A little bit harder to cast, of course.
But Modern mana is a lot easier to get.
Exactly. You're Modern with perfect mana, so 1 and 2 black is not that much harder to play than 2 and a black, and it's just a much better card.
So outside of To the Slaughter, which I don't think is Modern playable, and I do think is Standard playable, and it'll greatly vary how good it is against the deck you're playing. It's the token decks, it's bad. The Chandra control deck, it's great. Delirium in Modern is very easy to get because land is a free roll. Sorcery is very easy, and if you're trying to make it happen, it's very easy. As a sorcery. So you just need a creature or an artifact. You probably won't have an enchantment or a planeswalker. So I think Delirium, if there's a card worth getting to, will be able to get to consistently pretty often.
Delirium's achievable, but so far I've seen bad cards that use it.
My thing is even if you get Delirium, it's not that great most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's still going to say target player sacrifices a creature because they're usually not going to have a planeswalker.
Yeah, or sacrifices their worst creature. And a planeswalker.
Yeah,
but that's still not good enough.
That would be fine if I thought it was ever going to hit a planeswalker more than 1 in 50 times in Modern. In Modern, maybe it's sideboardable, and maybe Modern changes after the whole Eldrazi Scourge is gone. We'll see.
Yeah, I actually think that it's pretty bad in Modern just because a lot of good planeswalkers make creatures.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So we have Rattle Chains next, which is a kind of cool name. It's 1 in the blue for a 2/1 Flying Flash Spirit, and when it enters the battlefield, target spirit gains hexproof another turn, and you may cast spirit spells as though they have flash. So this is a tribal lore. We're going to see probably one of these in each color for different sort of whatever is considered the tribe for those colors.
Yeah. So this is technically not a lore because lords pump.
I'm going to call this one Bombzilla.
Bombzilla. The interesting thing is, Standard, we may be getting to a part where there's enough blue aggressive cards because we have the sort of the Eldrazi one that's a flash 1/2/2/1 with 1 in the blue as well. So maybe there'll be a position where there's enough okay counter spells and flash flyers that could be a deck. I don't see it really going anywhere else.
So it'll be mono blue aggro.
Probably blue white. Might be mono blue. Who knows really? But
that would be a fun deck to play.
But a more exciting card next to it is Falcon Wrath Gorger. You want to tell us about that, Brad?
So, first of all, I like that it's 1 mana for a 2/1. We don't get those as often as I thought we'd be getting them. They seem to happen a lot, and then they stop happening for a while.
This is the first one in red with exclusive upside.
Yeah, and so this one gives each vampire creature you own that isn't on the battlefield madness. And its madness cost is equal to its casting cost. So, that's a huge madness enable, especially with the other creature I think that is a vampire that's already been...
Yeah, there's a couple other ones.
That lets you just discard cards, I think, to flip it.
There's one to flip it, one to pump it.
Yeah.
So, if Madness is a deck, this might be a big part of it. One version of Madness. There's going to be
Red Madness.
Yeah, there's going to be a Black-Red Madness vampire deck, and I think there's going to be a Blue-Black or Blue-Red Madness type control deck. More controlling deck we've seen, at least from the cards we've had so far. But, like, if I'm playing an aggressive deck, how do you just fill out a 2-mana 2/1 that makes all your creatures able to be cast at instant speed and for advantage? Because all discard outlets you're using are for advantage.
Yep. That's perfect. That'll be played 4 of in every deck. It'll probably be an expensive rare. Can you open the door? It's really hot.
Yeah, I think it's just standard only.
Well, every deck that plays Madness though will play this, right?
Yeah, probably just standard only.
Every
And obviously it'll be okay.
I hope a modern deck pops up that does Madness. There's a great Madness card, the 4/4 for a 3 if you Madness it.
Yeah, there's
the
several things. There's several things in Madness Enablers in Modern that are
right,
quite
and there's
pretty
the
good.
other features like Time Spiral Block has some stuff for Madness as well.
What's the 1 red mana, do 5 damage, discard a card?
Lightning Axe.
Lightning.
Yeah, they're reprinting that one, aren't they?
They're
Yeah.
reprinting that one too. See, there you go.
But it's 5 damage to a creature.
I know,
isn't it?
but still,
Okay,
That's good.
so it's standard playable.
2 mana for a 2/1 that makes your vampires have
That's
madness
true.
and does 5 damage to a creature seems pretty good.
Zane likes zany stuff, so tell us about the Sage of Ancient Lore.
Okay, Sage of Ancient Lore, 4 and a green for a star. Sage of Ancient Lore's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. When Sage of Ancient Lore enters the battlefield, you draw a card, which is cool because it makes it at least a 1/1. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Sage of Ancient Lore. When he flips, Sage of Ancient Lore is Vigilance and Trample. Werewolf of Ancient Hunger's power and toughness are each equal to the total number of cards in all players' hands. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if a player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform it back to the side.
Now, the first thing I want to say before anything else, if you don't have any cards in hand when you play this, you will draw a card and it will die because the state-based effects will go off before that trigger resolves.
Yep, true.
So make sure you have a land or something in hand before you cast it.
Oh, okay.
Second
that
of
is
all, I
awesome
think
then.
this is going to be great in EDH.
Yeah, so by that we mean just twofold. It is not good in standard.
Not
it's
right
just-
now.
I
It
just
just
can't
costs
see it
too
work.
much.
It just doesn't give you enough. If it was like whenever it flipped you draw a card, I still don't think it's enough. But the other part to greed aid in EDH is it's not just expensive, it includes all players. So that's cool. I don't actually think it's...
No,
worth talking
it's not for standard.
I just think that by the time you get to 5 mana to cast it, everybody's going to be half empty-handed anyway, and they're going to have enough mana to easily cast 2 spells and flip it back. So what does it even matter?
Alright, so Wolf of Devil's Breach is 3 red for a 5/5 elemental wolf. At Mythic, some expected some good text. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 1 and red and discard a card. If you do, it deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. So, this can put a lot of pressure on. Obviously, this is one of the cards that's going probably top end for your Madness deck. At 1 and a red, they wanted the Madness cost to still be affordable without being outrageous. It's not free. It's not just red. It is a real cost there, and it is a real card. And you can't just discard lands unless you just need to target something. But do you think this could see standard play? Let's say that there's a black-red aggro deck. Do you feel like this would be a good curve topper?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I'd have to see how. I mean, obviously we're only 95 and 297, so there could be quite a bit more of decent Madness cards, or just let's say, cheaper creatures that you would like to play in that type of deck that have a high enough power to where that really actually does something. It's converted mana cost.
Yeah,
So I mean, it seems okay. I mean, I don't think it's going to do a lot of damage, but the fact that you could swing it in, possibly kill one of their creatures out of the way so they can't double block it, seems like pretty. It could theoretically be pretty bomby, and if you do Madness a creature out, obviously it's going to be kind of sick.
So then,
Yeah.
if there is the black-red Madness deck, and
Yeah, I don't even know if it'd want to play this though, because like
I mean, it's still.
it would want this to be the curve topper.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Yes.
that's what we're saying. This would be like your end game or whatever. I mean, 5 for a 5/5 isn't terrible.
Yeah, but you can't throw the creatures out of your hand at players. You can only hit planeswalkers and creatures, so it's not a finisher either, really, except that it's a 5/5.
it pushes through damage. You can get rid of the creatures.
But
on
why
board.
wouldn't I just play a 5/5 that flew or something and just push through the damage in the air instead of
Yeah,
trying
but-
to do some cube thing where I discard a card?
Then you're playing different colors though.
Right.
So,
We're talking about we're specifically talking about like a red or a black-red
Madness deck.
I mean,
There's
is there
nothing.
not some dragon I can play for around 5 mana?
This is probably going to be their dragon. So an interesting thing I want to point out is that this is Mythic, and I don't think that this started as Mythic. I think this is a Mythic for Limited.
Yes.
Like, imagine playing this
100%.
card 1 in 6 rounds because it's a rare.
Yeah, that is probably why it's a mythic, not because it's that powerful.
It is powerful, but
It's a unique effect. That's a good reason for being a mythic.
I think this is the kind of card that would be nearly unbeatable in combat in
Probably.
just regular limited too.
Yeah, it would be unbeatable. All your bad creatures just become bad removal spells.
All right, Brad, you want to tell us about this neglected heirloom? It's so sad.
Okay, so 1 mana to play it, and equipped creature gets +1/+1 with an equip of 1. And if the creature transforms, this also transforms and becomes a +3/+3 in first strike with equip 3 from then on. That seems playable, and they don't usually make equipment that is playable.
I think it just depends on how aggressive and easy it is to transform things. I don't think I would play this in standard. I could see it. I think it's unlikely. What about unlimited? Because in limited, I'm not willing to usually play equip 1 +1/+1. Like Leontine Scimitar is not where I want to be at in most limited formats. This has a lot of high toughness things, so that's there.
I think that if there's enough of like
Flip
cheaper flip creatures, though, I think it's like you
like
might want to do like
last time.
an aggressive deck, so that you could that are decently easy enough to flip. Then you could definitely see it. But I mean, you were not going to first pick it, but if you're first, you get handed to your 4th, 5th pick, you already picked 2 or 3 flip creatures. Yeah. Why not? If it's one of those things where you might hedge on it. You might just be like, well, it might be good. And the opportunity cost is relatively low. Like Leontine Scimitar, not a great card. This thing's a 1/1 for a 1/1 bump for 1 to play and 1 to equip. Doesn't seem terrible.
How many transform cards would you want in your deck?
And the fact that it doesn't transform back.
Yeah. How many transform cards would you want in your deck before you were happy, like you actively wanted a neglected heirloom?
5 to 6.
So it's all about okay.
So I think it'd actually be a few more than that. But
no. And more than that, I think it starts being
like super powerful,
almost bomby. Yeah.
I would first pick it if I had more than 5.
Yeah. Second pack, if I had 5 or 6 of them, I would probably pick it first if there wasn't a removal spell or something.
In the last Innistrad, you got a flip card in every pack.
Same here.
And this is the case. We know this.
You can have more than one. Yep. Mark Rosewater confirmed.
Okay, so get more. That makes this card way better because you're getting 1 per pack. Plus, a lot of them get passed. They did last Innistrad.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and spoil something here. They have flip cards that are non-creatures, and they're cool. So all the flip cards aren't creatures.
Oh, so last time,
God,
I built the flip deck almost every time.
I already want to play it.
All right, Zane. Yeah, Zane is zany. Zane, tell us about this not-so-zany card of this sweet Planeswalker.
Nahiri the Harbinger. 2, a red and a white. Kind of starts with 4 loyalty. +2, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. We've seen that on Planeswalkers before. Seems okay. I like that you discard the card first, because then you get to pick a land out of your hand and get to draw a card. So it seems pretty legit. -2, exile target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature. So it kind of protects itself. It also, the fact that you have a repeatable destroy enchantments and tapped artifact seems a little weird. Still, the fact that it kind of protects itself is good. Seems like that could have been a -1, but whatever. Maybe it's just to make it not get to a -8 so fast. What does that do? Search your library for an artifact or creature card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. That seems kind of weak for Ultimate.
So there's 2 things going on. I think the most important thing is that she +2s. Sometimes your defense isn't -2ing. Sometimes you're just staring down like a 3/3 or a 2/2, and your +2 is that you're sure put more pressure on the board, or I'm going to sculpt my hand. Like, I think her biggest draw is her first 2 abilities. She has a lot of ability to kill important things when she comes down, or to make them commit more in a weird kind of way, like just +2ing. How often do you have staring down the other side of the board and it's 1, 2, or 3 power, and with Nahiri they're looking at you sculpting 4 draws if they don't commit more, and at any time you can just kill something. I also think the -8 is so weak because it's so easy to get to. You get to it.
No, I get that, but you're looking at having to do the +2 3 times before you can do it and survive. That's if nothing attacked you.
Yeah.
And to go get, you'd have to go get something that.
Did a significant amount of damage.
it would have to be game breaking, or you would have to be able to recast it for sure.
So some sort of like giant angel in the angel.
Yeah, that would be yeah.
Hopefully,
maybe I don't know what that next one over there does, but that seems like it might be a thing. But I mean, I'm just saying it. I think the first two abilities are the most important part as always, but I just think -8 is kind of weak.
I think she'll see a lot of play in Standard. It'll be interesting to see if she ends up finding a home as a one-of in Modern. I know it doesn't look as strong, but card filtering is a big deal. If we get the Madness cards we need, that could be a big deal. If you want to enable graveyard synergies, that could be a big deal. And the -2 is pretty relevant. I mean, -2 exiling a tapped creature is a pretty good ability, and if you ever get to do it twice, she's okay. Brad, you want to tell us about this angel?
So, Angel of Deliverance, and it's 6 and 2 white, flying, delirium. If you have delirium, exile target creature and opponent controls.
Whenever it deals
whenever it deals damage.
Any damage. It's a 6/6.
So
I don't think that this card is actually great unless I can cheat it in.
I mean, I don't even know that you would play it if you drafted it. Now you'd probably play it in sealed. It'll actually be the pre-release card probably.
If I did,
it'll be one of them.
I could see myself first picking
all rares in the split in the pack are pre-release cards.
First picking this card and building a deck around it. Like this is Delirium is better as the game goes longer, and in limited, like you can get into a lot of situations where you want your deck to either ramp or stall out to that, and they have something they have to answer. Not sure where it's going to be at. I don't actually think it's really good for any specific place.
Sealed, like you said.
Yeah, Nephalia Moondrakes is 5 blue for a 5/5 flying Drake. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying. 4 blue, exile it from the graveyard. Creatures you control gain flying. So another limited-oriented card. The exile effect is still too expensive to be good anywhere except for limited. But I will say about Angel's Deliverance and Nephalia Moondrakes, they're cool cards for people that are just getting into Magic. Like, we often forget casual players love to play, and these are the kind of really cool cards. Like, how excited if one of your first cards, the first year you played, you got a Nephalia Moondrakes or Angel Deliverance, and that is an exciting card. So I feel like Wizards does need to make cards like this, and I like it when they make it at rare, and they shouldn't make them at Mythic.
Also, in limited, it's the kind of card that if they do deal with it when it's in play, they're going to forget about it in your graveyard.
You're probably just going to win.
They hit better not forget about it in your graveyard. Let's put it that way.
And you can always use it because it costs 7 to cast. So if you get it in your graveyard through playing it and it dying, you can already do the ability.
Yeah. Brad, you want to tell us another limited card?
All right, Scholl
Calvary.
Yes, Scholl Calvary. So this one is 5 and 2 white as well, so this must be a cycle. This one also has flying and is a 4/4. It's a 4/4 instead of a 5/5. When another spirit enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life, and 3 and a white, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token when flying into the battlefield. So I actually like this way better than the last 2 cards because it will over time be a complete army on its own while gaining you enough life that you can sit back and just make an army.
I would always play this in limited.
I'd also like to point out that if you play this and untap with it, if you drop another land, you can play its ability twice already on the very next turn. Make 2. I mean,
and
so your very next turn, if you can untap with this thing, you're automatically, because it costs so much to play, you're automatically going to have an army of flyers coming off the top and giving you a ton of life.
It's good offensively and defensively. 4+ powers attacking in the air, or repeatable chump blocks while gaining life. Both of which are good.
And it'll definitely overwhelm your opponent eventually while you gain enough life to keep doing it.
Zane, you want to tell us about this standard playable card?
Well, we shall see. Descend upon the Sinful. I'd like to point out that's an awesome name for a card.
Yeah.
4 and 2 white, exile all creatures. Delirium. Put a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying on the battlefield if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. I think this thing is sick. I don't know if it's really going to be standard playable. We'll see. But it's
Final Judgment.
It seems awfully sick. 6 mana for exile, not destroy. Exile. We have to think about that. And if you exile all creatures while putting a 4/4 flyer into play, seems like you probably won that game.
Yeah. So there's 2 things. We have cards like Crush of Tentacles, and I can see like a blue-white deck that has a lot of early interaction and a lot of late finishers with bouncing and exiling creatures and making tokens. Like essentially, creatureless control that runs board wipes that give you 4/4 flyers and 8/8s. Like that would be not a deck I'd want to play against, especially if the rest of the deck is cheap interaction and kind of stuff like that. So that seems like a cool direction for it. One of the reasons we have all these cool white-themed cards is in this set thematically, white represents both the people fighting against the antagonist and the antagonists themselves. So, Descend Upon the Sinful is a little... Like, that's some dark imagery for a white card.
I like it. What is that thing flying? It's not an angel.
It is an angel.
It's like it's like an angel devil. Like
It's
no,
like an
that's
angel.
just a straight angel. In the story, the angels are coming for the humans.
It looks pretty hardcore though.
But it doesn't look like a normal angel. It looks like half demon, like he was saying.
Or
Alright.
its legs look kind of demonish.
So-
Demonish or ethereal? Not
Yeah, I
sure.
don't even
Both.
This next card
So, I like this next card.
was 100% Brad. Tell me about it.
So, Sinister Concoction, 1 black mana enchantment. Pay a black and a life. Mill yourself for 1, and then discard a card. So, enable your madness. Sacrifice this and destroy target creature. So, it's unconditional removal for 2 mana and discard a card and 1 life.
So there's a lot of things going on here. This, first of all, flavorfully, you put in 4 things. The Sinister Concoction, I'm digging that. Like, you discard a card, you pay some life, you sacrifice it, and you use an enchantment.
I read this different. I read this wrong the first time.
Yeah.
I read that this comma, well, like you can't see it, but the comma after graveyard, I read that as a period. And I thought that you could
Just do it repeatedly.
No, I thought you could repeatedly put the top card in your graveyard if you wanted to, just mill stuff into your graveyard. And then when you felt like it, you could discard a card, and sacrifice it, and destroy a target creature.
So this kind of has the same going.
It does all at one time.
In limited,
It's a huge block of text.
this is an important card. I would always play this. And the reason is, not only is it removal, it can be a Madness Enabler, and it can be a Delirium Enabler. It's a, sort of one of those crossover cards that enables 2 decks with a strong card. It may be standard playable. There may be a deck that really does want Delirium or Madness that much. You might not play a ton of them, but being able to get an enchantment into your graveyard with upside might be important. Now, I'm not sure if that's the case or not. There's better Madness Enablers for standard, but there might not be better Delirium Enablers for just, if there's a Delirium Madness deck, maybe it's a blue-red deck, a black-blue deck that wants both of those different things and achieves them, because there are synergy-based abilities as well.
Now, let's not forget the artwork is also great.
All right, so
Please God, let me tell you about
Zane,
this one.
tell us about this.
Okay, we got Startled Awake. 2 and 2 blue. Target opponent puts the top 13 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Okay, I'm already on board because I love mill. Also, in limited, by the time you get to 4 mana, that's like half their library. Anyway,
It's true.
It's a little less, but sure.
It's more than a third, between a third and a half. Anyway, pay 3 and 2 blue. Put Startled Awake from your graveyard on the battlefield, transformed, activated only as a sorcery. When it comes back in the graveyard, it's a 1/1 with Skulk. That whenever it deals damage to a player, you return it to its owner's hand, which will of course let you play Startled Awake again.
That is
Good
amazing.
God, I want to play this card so bad.
Is
Every
this
format
a
that they've ever
mythic?
been, even though it's terrible.
It is.
It's a terrible card, but I love it. And I honestly do think it's a complete game winner in limited. I don't think
it is.
I mean, because the fact you take the top 13 off, and I can possibly do that again, seems pretty sick. I'm not saying you're always going to win the game with it, but it is going to break hearts in limited. Probably never going to see any serious play in anything else.
So there's 2 problems. The first is Skulk is a pretty good ability in constructed because you have less creatures, but in limited, they're actually pretty likely to be able to block it, which is a problem I have with the card. The third,
Who's playing 1/1s limited?
you're not playing 1/1s, you're playing 1 toughness creatures with other abilities.
What?
They don't
Skulk
have-
is just power. So if they have a 1/3, they can block your 1/1.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's not a lot of those cards though.
We've already seen some other Skulk cards revealed at lower
Yeah.
mana cost, so I
No,
think...
I mean I'll give you that, but I'm saying that like I don't know. I'd like the fact that if you ever get to replay it again, it's worth
yeah.
the opportunity of cost of having in your deck.
This is true, and you can build a deck around it where you don't need to hit again, and I think that's where it's going to shine. I think as far as constructed goes, and it being mythic, the Persistent Nightmare could have had hexproof. Because in limited, how often are you going to see it? Not that often.
Not very often.
And you're
And
actually,
giving it hexproof would mean you might be able to use it in some other format.
you could use it in standard. I think this is one of the most flavorful cards they've made in a long time. Startled Awake, Persistent Nightmare, the naming, what it does, invading the dreams, all it kind of just goes well together. we'll see how it kind of plays out more. But it's definitely one of the coolest cards I think that they've made in a long time.
I'm Windmill first picking it.
All right, Brad, tell me about this,
So-
this modern card.
So, Anguished Unmaking is exactly what I wanted from what's the actual legacy card? That's this.
Vindicate.
Vindicate. Vindicate is so bad because it's not an instant.
No. Vindicate is realistic because it's not an instant.
I guess so.
Tell us about
I
it.
guess so. You don't preemptively vindicate because it's not an instant. So anyway, you exile a non-land permanent and you lose 3 life. That's great.
It's 1 white black. Now, there's something to be aware of. Life is important. It's not negligible. 3 life is quite a bit. It's hard to play this in Modern with your shocks and your fetches and your other cards, knowing that you'll be sometimes staring down aggro decks where, you can't run a ton of these. You might think, well, I could run, you 1 or 2 of. As many as you'd run Maelstrom Pulse.
It blows up everything, though.
It is. And it's generally better than Maelstrom Pulse just because it's an instant. And Exile's relevant.
And it's black-white.
Do you think that, obviously some Modern play probably is a 1 or 2 of in a lot of lists.
Well, there's already the black-white tokens list in Modern that's really good.
So do you think that this has any chance to see play in Legacy? And with that even further, because there's now essentially 8 Vindicates, do you want to play some sort of deck that plays 8 Vindicates?
No. Vindicate's not good enough for Legacy.
Is it? So that's just by itself it's not good enough. Okay.
No. And the reason it's not good enough for Legacy...
I think it is possibly good enough.
For Legacy?
For Legacy.
Well, so here's the problem with playing here's the problem with playing, 8 Vindicates for Legacy?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying 8 Vindicates, I'm saying 4 of these.
Oh, okay. Well,
or some number of these.
So if you play 8 Vindicates, the problem in Legacy is that every threat in Legacy tops out at 3 mana. So by the time you can kill the first one with your 3 mana spell, they've already played 3 of them.
I definitely agree.
Theoretically, but also this is clearly an Abzan type card, something like that, some kind of control,
which would make way more sense in
mid-range deck. Which I do agree with that, but I'm saying that that you never know what decks people are going to build given new cards, or meld into something else given new cards. People can. It's obviously with mana as good as it is in Legacy. Clearly, you could splash this into something else. Mm-hmm. I think it is a very good card.
Generally in Legacy, you play removal on your turn, so that they haven't had the opportunity to draw other cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So really, you would just play Vindicate before you play the first one.
So don't listen to me about Legacy.
I don't think any of these. We already talked about a lot.
Yeah, we've already talked about the rest of these.
Let's see if there's anything that Zane thought stood out. You know what? Let's go back to Thing in the Ice Awaken Horror. I'm higher on this card the more I look at it. In some ways, I think the closest comparison is Delver in that it's less swingy. Now, let's talk about it. First of all, I think it's very playable in Standard and in Limited, even if you're not flipping it that often in Limited, because if you're playing a slower deck, it does hold up the ground then. But more in the Standard Modern capacity, how hard is it to cast 4 instants or sorceries if you want your deck to do that?
Not in blue?
Not in any...
no, I'm just saying.
In any color?
In
Modern, you're probably playing
specifically in Modern, that thing seems like a ticking time bomb that doesn't have a very long clock. It is a 7/8 that bounces all of the creatures. Basically all of them.
Now, it does die to removal once it flips. Or
of course,
flips.
and before it flips.
So...
Abrupt Decay kills it.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay kills it both modes.
Lightning Bolt does not, though.
That's right. That's what I was going to point out. People play the little man there, oh god, I forgot his name now. He flips into the 3/2, Delver, and people don't say Delver just dies. You do play it on turn 1, but it has to be answered. And Thing in the Ice is not the easiest thing to answer. You don't want to path against a more controlling deck or that has a lot of card draw. So it's not like you're really that far behind. So what kills this efficiently in Modern?
I don't.
Efficiently besides Abrupt Decay?
Like I said, you don't really want
not many things.
I was also going to say that maybe this is not a main deck card. There's a possibility this could be a good sideboard card because people take out against blue control decks. They take out their removal because you don't have anything to kill, and if they don't have any removal in their deck, and you have the Thing in the Ice, they're going to die to it.
It's also true.
Oh, and let's not forget you could go Delver turn 1, either Jace or Thing in the Ice turn 2. That's setting you up for quite a good kill.
plays well with Snapcasters. I think this will see play in Modern.
I just think
plays
it's so
very well
it's
with
just so
Snapcaster.
easy to flip in Modern. In Standard, maybe we'll see if they build that deck. I mean,
So
I
Legacy,
think the
this
opportunity
would be
cost is pretty low because it's really good against the aggressive decks because it is an 0-4 for 2 that can just block their crappy little red
right.
creatures all day.
It's not a legend, and it blocks even bigger creatures. How many
Yeah.
creatures have more than 3 power in Modern? Frequently.
I was talking about Standard, but yeah,
And it's not legendary, and it doesn't bounce itself. So you could play 1 turn 2, play 1 turn 3,
I mean,
take a counter off both of them.
It ain't great against Eldrazi, but we're of the opinion that we're not going to worry about that. So by the time this comes out, or worry about it as much.
Right. All right. So let's keep
Still
going. See if
seems
there are
good.
any other cards that are of note. We can talk about Abyssin, Archangel, in Standard specifically. Zane, how do you feel about this card in Standard?
Let's see. I've read this one before, but we go 3 and 2 white for a 4/4 flash flying vigilance. I'm on board. Let's see what else it does. When it enters the battlefield, creatures control gain indestructible until end of turn. Okay, that has not talked me out of it. When a non-angel creature you control dies, transform Archangel Abyssin at the beginning of the next upkeep. So it doesn't flip, and it flips in next upkeep. That seems fine.
So it flips on their turn?
Yeah, it flips on their turn, which is... I don't have no problem with that. When this creature transforms into Abyssin, it deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. That seems... that's why it flips during there, because that way your shit doesn't have indestructible.
Yeah,
that's why it flips. So it ain't completely broken.
Unless you flash in another
6/5 flyer, deals 3 damage to each other creature and each opponent. It seems like it just outright wins you the game, unless they just kill it immediately. I mean, I don't see. I mean, like it coming in, you flash in. If they come at you and you flash it in and save all your creatures, or in combat especially, you're gonna wreck half their stuff, and anything that it didn't wreck is gonna get wrecked when it flips. So, I mean.
So there's a couple interesting things going on. Brad, first of all, mentioned flashing another. If you have 2 in play, they don't legend rule themselves. They have different names, which is cool.
As long as one flips first, yes.
Yeah. If one flips and you respond, there's 2 different things. Top of your aggro curve, stops wrath, etc. That's really cool. The flip side's actually kind of bad for you. Like if they force you to flip, like you play the Abyssin, they respond by killing one of your guys. They might kill your force, which is like your little dudes.
You mean they respond to it? It's enter the battlefield,
or they give it minus or the X.
Well,
yeah, I'm saying they'd have to respond to the enter the battlefield ability, not to you playing it.
Oh yeah, or you might just play end of combat to add on more damage, and they flip it in.
They get a lot of play.
Well, I feel like when you play it, it's essentially if they have mostly little creatures, it's essentially a double board wipe for them.
No. If you're the aggro deck that curves into Absent, because it is wrath protection, but it's at the.
I just mean like they attack into you, they think they got this. You play a 4/4 that's in the way, and all your crap can't die.
Yeah.
You just block everything, kill everything they have, and then later on, this thing's gonna flip. None of your stuff can die then, but all your stuff's gonna flip after that. Eventually, something's gonna die, and when it flips over, you kill anything 3 or less toughness and do 3 damage to them. You have a 6/5 flyer. I mean, it seems like. I mean, I actually feel like I would almost rather have a 4/4 flying vigilance than a 6/5 flyer, but I mean, still, I don't think it's bad when it flips either time. So.
And so my biggest problem with it is it comes into play. Then this trigger goes on the stack, making everything indestructible, right?
Yep.
I respond to that trigger by killing your 4/4 that you just cast.
That's fine. The rest of your stuff's indestructible.
But you don't ever get a chance to get a 6/5. It didn't protect itself.
That's okay.
So.
Yeah,
it seems good, but you're going to have to set it up so much, and in Modern, creatures don't live long. So
Yeah, this isn't a Modern
in
card.
Standard,
Yeah, no.
it seems like creatures live long enough that you'll be able to play it, but it'll never make it past that.
It seems a lot like the 5-drop to play in
Standard.
white mid-rangey decks.
Yeah, it does seem like the perfect curve topper in
2
Standard.
things that you could be
Especially
interesting.
because you're losing now.
Well, and there's a bunch of
Waymaker.
wrath effects, but one of the wrath effects exiles instead of destroys, so that's real sad.
There's that, but I mean...
That's on turn 6. If they tap out to do that, you can make a 4/4. Then the interesting thing is the trigger can play to your advantage. If you need to clear a board, let's look at the control side. The control side's odd because you want it to flip more sometimes. The vigilance can matter. But if you need to clear the board, but it's hard to make that happen. Unless you have Scions, which you can sacrifice on demand, or you respond to that. Let's say you're playing a Bant control deck, and you play Avacyn, and you respond by making one of your creatures fight with Jamaica's command, and you flip your own Avacyn to wipe their board.
That would be cool.
So there's a lot of play in it. I like how it plays in both of these decks. I also like how it's not perfect for either, because in the aggro deck you do have to worry about there will be times
creatures
where you flip where you don't want to, and in the control decks where you would like to flip it, but you can't. So you got to work for this powerful card, and I like designs like that more than something like the Titans back in the day, which were 6 for 6/6 with like unstoppable abilities. You didn't really have to build a deck; it just kind of
I was
just
going
draft
to say
them and
something
win.
else as well. There is already in Standard a deck, like a control-ish deck that runs the Eldrazi Displacer from the last set. This is coming into a battlefield effect. When you flip it, it goes back to its original. That means you can repeatedly make all of your creatures indestructible. I'm not saying that this fits in that deck. I'm just saying that it's a broken card to put in that deck if you wanted it to be your chart topper.
So interestingly, in that exact situation, you can have Avacyn flip. It'll do 3 damage to kill your own guy.
Yeah.
And then you can blink it to save it.
But you're not gonna. Yeah, exactly. And it'll. I mean, it's. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's gonna be a deck. I'm just saying that is already a deck, and this might fit
combo.
Let's talk about an interesting limited card I liked a lot. Shard of Broken Glass is 1 for an equipment, and for 1 mana it gives +1/+0. We've seen this card before. It's not normally good enough. You don't want to play that card. But it enables Delirium. Whenever a creature attacks, you put the top 2 cards in your library into your graveyard. This enables specifically aggressive Delirium. You're not waiting later and getting the advantage off your cards and discarding and drawing. This is just, so I put my decent 2-drop. I played and equipped, I attacked, and now I'm 1 card away from Delirium. And if you trade, I have Delirium, which will give my other Delirium cards more. I
don't know.
It's going to be a
It's
card.
going to be good for the Delirium deck in Standard, right? No? Just in Draft.
Can you see a position where we play this in Standard?
I wouldn't play.
Well, so in Draft, though, you've got the cards in your deck to enable Delirium, and you're just hoping with this bad
No.
equipment you're going to flip them?
There are 2 different Delirium decks. There's the slower Delirium deck that's using the discard, draw card, discard effects. It's grinding the game out and getting Delirium as the game progresses on. This is the card where you play it on turn 1, and then you play a 2-drop, then you play a 2-drop and equip. You attack with your guy, you mill 2 again, and then you have Delirium that turn or the turn after, and you have a couple of cards that cost 3 or less that have Delirium triggers.
Yeah, but in Limited, you don't want to repeatedly just mill yourself over and over again. I mean, you're going to attack twice to enable Delirium and then never attack with that creature again.
I mean, if you're an
It's just a blocker then.
If you're in an aggressive deck, you probably won't mill out. And as we saw in last Innistrad, one of the main decks was turn your whole deck upside down.
Yeah, but think about the feel bads when you draw this like turn 7.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's fine, but your deck would really have to be tuned towards that.
Yeah.
Like you would. This is a 13th pick or something in a pack that you or like an 8th pick when there's nothing else and you hedge towards it just in case.
Right.
You're never gonna pick
and then you
it.
happen to build the perfect deck for it.
Yeah,
and
if my deck comes around, I'm gonna put this in there. If it doesn't, I'm not, kind of thing.
We see the same card with Bonesaw.
Yeah,
like 19 out of 20 decks don't want Bonesaw, but the deck that really wants Bonesaw would like 2 or 3.
I don't want to be in the deck that wants Bonesaw, and I don't think I want to be in the deck that wants this.
I want to be in the deck that wants Bonesaw if I have Titan's Fall. Or
Well, here's the thing. I mean, like, Brad hasn't actually played the red-white or the
Bonesaw deck.
The Bonesaw deck. The Bonesaw deck is not a deck you want to be staring down when it's a good version of it, and the fact that you don't have to pick up your Bonesaws, that they always wheel, makes a big difference. Just same with Shard of Broken Glass. You don't want to early pick Shard of Broken Glass. You want to pick up the pieces that are going to make it good, and then you get last pick shards. That's where the card comes.
Yeah.
But I enjoy cards like that, where they're cards that only fit into one deck, they fit in powerfully, and they're going to will to come to that, where you're rewarded for good drafting.
All right. I think we should switch over and go ahead and play a game. Because we've talked about all the rest of these cards.
Yeah, he was just going over stuff because I wasn't here last time.
All right, so
But we by all means.
we'll be back in
Some
just
magics.
1 second, and I'm actually going to bust out, so Zane's going to take over, and Zane and Brad are going to play us our last match of our sealed game, and Zane's going to win it. Win it! See you guys in a second.